Hello, and welcome to another episode of For the Love of Sports. My name is Michael Rasile. This is a show where I get to talk about sports, I get to talk about business, and I get to talk about everything in between. And today, my incredible guest, the incredible April Holmes, Team USA athlete, two-time Paralympic medalist, gold medal at the 2008 Games, multiple world records, national championships, and is the founder of Hero Hangouts. April, how you doing today?
I'm wonderful, Michael. How about yourself?
It is a good day to be alive. We're recording this on a Friday. Hopefully, you're listening to this on a Monday or Tuesday. You get that little extra motivation that you're listening and you deserve. But April, I am so excited. As I said, this is about sports and it's about business. And I get to talk about both of those with you because you're an incredible athlete and now you're an incredible business person. So I think we're going to have some fun with this one. But April, the first question I have for everybody on the For the Love of Sports podcast is, why do you love sports so much?
I don't know anything else, Michael. I don't.
You would be both.
I've literally been playing sports since I was a kid, and it was my escape away from piano lessons. It was my escape away from doing a nutcracker for the 5,000th time. It was my escape from like ballet. I mean, just anything that my mom just thought, if she thought basket weaving would keep us busy, she probably would enroll us in basket weaving. But I got to track and field, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute, I love it. Saw basketball, I'm like, I love it. Anything sports, I'm like, I love it. Anything like artsy, I applaud those people. That's their talent, but that's not what I love. So I really threw myself into sports because it was the creativity that you can use your body and your mind, um, and the competitiveness that it took to be, to be excellent, to be great, to win. So those things are like reasons of why I love sports, and just the camaraderie with some of your peers. And so I'm like, anything to keep me away from that piano and that ballet. Those shoes hurt. So yeah, I've been thrown into athletics since a very, very young age. I think it was like 5 years old or so. I started running track and would play basketball, whenever I went to the park. Sometimes I get on the swings and that was cool. And other times I just go play basketball. But love sports ever since I was a kid, and still love it obviously to this day. But it's amazing that the lessons that sports teaches you at such a young age, the resilience. I've been getting pushed down and have fallen down since I was a kid. So to get pushed down and fallen down, and now for it to manifest itself in your life as an adult, when things like COVID hit, and when things like, just any number of things that might be a fall down for you in life, is like, wait a minute, I've been here before. I got back up, and I'm still playing the game of life. So just kind of keeping those things I learned in sport at such a young age, and every single day almost in sport, just kind of keeping those things in the forefront, and knowing what it takes to succeed, and just getting back up and succeeding and becoming a champion in everything I do in life.
100%. I love that answer because sports, right? It's fun. It's something to do. It's enjoyable, but it also, as you said, teaches you a lot, right? You learn how to lose. Like, where else in life do you learn how to lose outside of
Yeah.
the classroom? And that's a whole nother conversation. Time management, discipline. There's so many different things that sports teaches you, and it's interesting because I'm excited to create the parallels or see those parallels of, okay, well, you made it to the highest of high in terms of athletic achievement. You had records
Mhm.
world records. So you literally made it to the highest of high in your sport. And now you get to do that in business too. So I'm excited to create those parallels a little later on this conversation. But I do want to understand. So again, you are a Paralympic athlete. You have a gold medal at the 2008 Paralympic Games. You have a bronze, I think, at 2004, correct?
I have two. I have
Oh,
one in
okay.
04 and one in 12 in London.
There we go. Thank you. I appreciate my research. Look at that. Wikipedia. And you just no, I'm kidding. But no, in sincerity. So again, you make it to the highest of high, but this wasn't the way, many athletes are born and can only compete in the Paralympics. Unfortunately, there was a little bit of a tragic story that happened with you to put you in this situation. Obviously, you made the best out of it, but would definitely love for you to tell the people that story, what happened, and that kind of kick off the rest of the conversation that way.
Sure. I've been running track, like I said, since was five, and ran all the way through high school, ran all the way through college. And my mom, one of the things she always pressed upon us was, she didn't have any money for us to go to college, but she still expected us to go. And so from there, it was like, okay, I'm going to college. I'm going to run, and, use athletics as a way to pay for my education. And was able to go through college at Norfolk State University, and get a college scholarship, track scholarship there. had a pretty successful college career. And after then, I'm like, okay, it's time to go to work. Like, I never thought about athletics being a career for me. It was just like, okay, I need to pay for college. And so after college, I went back to the Philadelphia area and started working in communications at Verizon and doing some different things there. But one of the things I realized was that how much I really loved athletics, how much I really loved like marketing and things. And so I remember starting my master's degree at Drexel University at the time. And when I started about 2 weeks after I started my master's degree, I actually got into a train accident. So my boyfriend and I were in Philadelphia, and I was attempting to get on the train. Train driver decided he was getting ready to go. He was ready to go, and so ended up slipping and falling, fell underneath the platform, and the train crushing my leg. Um, and I actually laid there for 17 minutes, being able to think about life. Was this the end of my life? Did I have more left to live? Did I have more left to give? Was I going to die right there underneath the platform at 30th Street Station in Philadelphia? Like all those things kind of go through your mind. But then I really called upon, it's interesting when I'll say when you're in a pinch, literally and
Yeah,
figuratively.
I was gonna say, I didn't want to say anything, but thankfully you did, because yeah, there's a couple meanings to that one.
Yeah, it's like when you're in a pinch, what do you turn to? What type of things do you turn to? And so one of the things I did was, just kind of keep in mind some of the things that I've been learning in my life, which was, my mom always said, you keep kids busy, they'll stay out of trouble. So, okay, now I'm in trouble. Now what do I do? Um, so laying there was some snow in very close proximity because this is January in Philadelphia. So snow in close proximity. I literally started picking up the snow and making snowballs because as I was laying there, I'm like, okay, how do I keep my mind busy? So I don't think about the fact that I'm actually trapped underneath this train. Instead, I'm thinking about, how do I keep myself, like my mind occupied kind of thing. So it's throwing snowballs. And then I'm like, wait, I got to also keep my heart beating. And so how do I do that? And so I'm like, wait, I like music. I love music. I love every kind of music. And so I start literally singing songs, throwing snowballs, singing songs. The whole time they're sitting there trying to figure out how to get my leg free from this train and the train tracks. I'm singing songs and throwing snowballs. And so that's kind of how I kept myself alive, I'll say. But um, woke up several hours later in the emergency room in a hospital. And I remember learning that my leg had been amputated and to lift up and look down and see a cast where your leg used to be. And I was 27 at the time. So, for 27 years, these two legs of mine had,
Hmm.
taken me to great mountaintops, I'm gonna call it, had taken me to many championships and through many races, through many basketball games. But now to know that I was now missing my left foot was pretty devastating at the time. And I remember turning to my cousin who was right there by my bed, and I said to her, "You mean to tell me I'll never be able to run or play basketball again?" And she's like, "No, you'll be okay." I'm like, "No, no, no, no,
All
no, no,
right, thanks.
no, no, no. I'm missing my leg, like, so I can't run and play basketball anymore. Like, those are, even though I was not doing those things anymore, like in a college level or anything, they were still things that I still love to do. And so to think that two things that you absolutely love to do, you can't do them anymore is pretty devastating. And so I remember like my doctor, like you said, mentioned, every single day this guy came in and it was like show and tell to him or something. So like every day he either bought someone with him, he either bought magazines, he bought food, he bought any and everything. And I mean any and everything. I mean any and everything he bought. And so when he would bring these things by, a lot of times I'm like, here go this guy again. Um, but this one particular day he bought these magazines about the Paralympics, and I'm like, had no clue what Paralympics were, never heard of, never saw the Paralympics. Only disabled people I even knew were like those were in a hospital. I mean, like, church or something, or I
Hmm.
saw them in the mall or something like that. So to see like magazines with athletes, like is it, like you talked about, where there's ignorance. In fact, I look at it more like it's education. Because that was education to me. I had no idea that people with disabilities could actually still participate in sports. Um, so when he first gave me the magazines, I just kind of took them and threw them up on my dresser or whatever. And he's like, "I'm gonna come back later and talk to you about those things." And before he could even get back, my sisters had come to visit, and they're like, "Where'd you get these magazines from?" And I'm like, "Dr. DeLong, the man's crazy." And so I'm like, every day he comes in here, brings something. And so my sisters kind of took the magazines and just kind of was looking through them. And they're like, "No, no, no, April, you should look at these magazines because they're athletes on these magazines. They're competing in sport." I'm like, probably too old to understand this, but like what was the name of that show? Is like, "What you talking about, Willis?" And I kind of did one of those things to them, like, what are you talking about? It's athletes on these pages. And so, looking at, I end up taking the magazines for my sisters and looking at them, and I'm like, wait, I got it. And I'm literally flipping through the magazines as fast as I can because I'm trying to see what my competition looks like. I told you I'm an athlete. So you tell me you ran track, you tell me you play basketball. I'm gonna start looking at you side eye and like looking you up and down. Like, wait a minute, do you really look like you play basketball or run track? And so when I looked at the magazines, I'm trying to find the person that won. I'm looking at the competition, like what do they look like, what they built like those kind of things. Um, and before he could get back, I literally had come up with three dreams. I wanted to represent the United States at the next Paralympic Games. I wanted to be a gold medalist, and I wanted to be the fastest amputee in the world. Like, so you think about, I went from the train tracks to the hospital bed, like that. That took a couple of days, couple of weeks, whatever that looked like. And then now, all of a sudden, I'm having dreams of standing on top of the podium as being the best in the world. So people often, like, how did you, like, you just lost your leg? Like, where did you get the mentality even to kind of focus on the fact that you want to be the best in the world? Or where did that dream come from? And I'm like, I've been a champion all my life. Again, I've fallen down. It's like, okay, how do you get back up, and not just get back up, but win when you get up? It's like life knocked you down or somebody knocked you down. You want to come back at them or that with like everything that you have, and prove that you can win this game also. Um, so that was my mentality, Michael. Just, I want to come back and win this also. I want to be the best. I don't just want to be a spectator in the sport.
Mhm.
I want to be the best in the sport, and that's all I know.
And you got there. You represented the United States at the Paralympic Games. You won a gold medal, and you were the fastest in the world, literally multiple world records. So, April, I think it's incredible, just kind of as you said, like over that short period of time, over those few days, how much your life changed from doing marketing and communications at Verizon in a cubicle, probably, right, to unfortunately losing your leg, to then having this goal and these goals and dreams to be one of the best athletes in the entire world. That's a lifetime for some people, right? And you kind of had all of that in a span of a few days. And I want to get into, you as you said, you were athletic, you ran track in college. You're 27 now, though. I'm 29. I was probably a little more athletic when I was closer to college. I'm not gonna lie here, just a little bit. So what was it like, I guess, getting back in? I mean, you still had your job, right? So was this something you did on the side? What was it like learning? I mean, I don't know, was it learning how to run again? But like, what was that process like, getting fitted for your new leg? Like, how, talk to me about that aspect of it, because it's cool to have these dreams and say these things, but after a couple of weeks, a lot of people would just be like, you know what, like, I'm kind of just cool trying to figure out how to live life again. And you're like, no, like, I'm gonna be the best in the world at this. How do you, again, then how do we make it to point C in this conversation? We made it to A to B. How do we then get to C of just like, how do you start training and all that entire aspect of the conversation?
So one of the things was, again, we talked about it briefly before, but it's, what are those things that sport has taught you, that are transferable in life?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so, one is, I call upon my team. I had and still have the greatest support network of family, friends, those people that are always cheering for you no matter what. So, the network or the support system, we learn from athletics and in terms of teamwork. So letting my team know this is the goal for us. This is where we're going. And for them to cheer, them to be spectators, them to be, they was holding the stop. They would start holding the starting blocks. They were out at practice, with me sometimes taking, timing me. I mean, you name it, I called upon them to do any and everything. So, just first off, needing a leg, it's great you have a dream, but now you need the tools.
Mm-hmm.
So, getting my first prosthetic leg, that was special. In fact, it's almost been 20 years ago today, that I kind of got my first prosthetic leg. Excuse me. But to get that leg, it was like, okay, now I have one of the tools. Now I just have to put it to work. It's like you're given tools in life, but are you putting them to work? So being able to put them to work, being able to get out on the track, being able to call on some of my former track coaches from when I was a kid, call on them and say, hey, listen, I'm still in this area. I need to learn how to run again. It's like, it's like riding a bike. You didn't forget how to run. Instead, what you need to do is figure out how to run with that prosthetic on. And so, every day while I was at Verizon, I'm literally at work from 8 o'clock to 5 o'clock. Get off work at 5 o'clock. By 5:30, I was at the track. So 5:30 to 8 o'clock at night, I used to go over to Temple University's track and go over there, and sometimes even over to St. Joe's track, and practice every day. And then I would leave there and come home at night. And literally, I'm eating my dinner in front of my computer because now I'm working on my master's degree. So, all of these things, it was like my days were crazy. So many times I'm like, okay, I still want to go out and still want to have a life, still want to hang out with my friends and, those kind of things, and my family. And so I'm literally like, okay, wait a minute, I can go out to the club, but wait a minute, I have to get my homework done first. So this is like, so my life was so crazy then, but I was so focused on, like, being able to compartmentalize your focus. I think is such a sport thing to do. It's like, ice water running through your veins kind of thing. Cause I'm at Verizon and I'm needing to do a job so I can get paid. I leave there, I go to track. I need to do a job there also so I can get paid in a different way. So I'm paying off, and it's paying off in terms of me achieving my dreams. And then I'm also working on my master's degree at night. So that's paying off by education. So all of these things is like ice water to me. Like, when I'm in that moment, I'm thinking about that. I'm achieving that. I'm succeeding at that. And so just being able to do all three of those things at one time was crazy. I know it was crazy. As I think back on it, it was crazy. But nothing to me would deter me from that idea of, it wasn't just I'm lip service. I want to be the best in the world. It wasn't lip service of wanting just to wear the USA uniform, because to me it wasn't just about even wearing a uniform. It was great to represent, but I wanted to win. And not just even for me. I think about when I was in 2008, when I was in Beijing for the Paralympic Games, how often we heard stories about people with disabilities that lived there, that prior to them being awarded the games, that area in Beijing was not very handicap friendly. People with disabilities were literally, pretty much homebound. So for them to be awarded the games, for them to be able to see people with disabilities and be able to go out in their different athletic venues and win medals and stuff for their different countries and stuff, it was literally like 100,000 people in the stands the day I won my gold medal. And I tell you, one of the coolest things ever. But after I won the gold medal and after the medal ceremony was over, after the race was over, and then there's the medal ceremony, and I had like 50 family members in the stands. And so I told our security people, I'm like, listen, I'm going up to the stands. I said, because my family's upstairs. And I can't just win a medal and not let my
Right.
family see it. And so they're like, okay, so you want to go where? I said, up to the stands. They're like, what section is your family in? So I told them. And so we took the elevator up, and, they kind of got me through a little bit of a crowd. And we came through this stairwell, and they're like, no, go this way because we have your family, or we already told them you're coming. And so they're in this area right now waiting for you to come up. So again, it's 100,000 people in the stands, but they're taking me to the area where my family is. And so I literally come up in the area, and not only is my family around, but as many people as like that can fit in this area where like they're just trying to touch me, trying to touch my medal, that's trying to congratulate me, get pictures, like whatever. It got to a point that our U.S. security people, whatever, or team security people, they're like, April, we got to go. This is too crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Because for me, it was like a promise I had made to God many years ago. It's like, if you give it to me, I'm gonna make sure I take it everywhere I go, let people see it. Like, I'm not going to be one of the people that send my medal off to the Smithsonian or something and other than nobody ever see it or touch it. Like, instead, it's like, let me allow you to touch it so that you could think about your dreams in your life. And so I remember standing there, and like so many just people from China just touching my medal, and my family's touching it, taking pictures. And like I said, it got to a point the security is like, April, we have to get out of here. This is crazy. Like, this is nothing we ever imagined. Like, we have to get you out of here. This is crazy. And I'm like, okay, all right. My family saw that I'm good to go. So we got me out of there as quick as they could.
I love that. That's an awesome story. And all right, like you got the medal. What's the point of just keeping it locked away the whole time? I actually got to wear a bronze medal. Incredible athlete, Ariel Gold. Let me wear hers, bronze medal winning snowboarder here for Team USA, which was so cool, and got to hold it, and we got to show it to a bunch of people. So it is such a cool, like, you see them on TV, right? But then you actually get to see, they're heavy too. They're real heavy. They got some thickness to them, which is nice. But
you waited your lifetime for it. You can't give me
Yeah.
something that came out the bubble gum.
Right, exactly. Let's go. I love it. And so I kind of want to hop back a little bit before we get into like the some more meat of your athletic in the games themselves. You're doing all this stuff. You're getting ready. You're training every night. You're training every day. You're getting your master's. At what point do you, I guess, fully, not to say you weren't fully committed, but at what point do you say, okay, I can't work at Verizon anymore because I know I need to continue to train and do that? How does that work? And like, what was that conversation with yourself like, saying, I am now 100% in, this is the only thing I can do, I have to succeed?
I think for me it was like I felt like I was 100% in everything
Of
because
course.
so I think about like Verizon. I had a house, I had a brand new house, had a brand new car. I just can't leave Verizon because Paralympics at the time wasn't paying brand new house or brand new car money, so I still had to be 100% committed to Verizon. And I actually didn't leave there until so I lost my leg in 2001. I didn't actually leave Verizon until 2005. So this was after I won the bronze
Oh,
medal
wow.
in Athens. But one of the greater reasons of why I was able to leave was to be able to get some different sponsorships, and more importantly, I was able to get a sponsorship with the Jordan brand. And I was the very first female athlete sponsored by the Jordan brand. So to know that I grew up loving Michael, in fact, as the picture you see in my
Hmm.
background is of Michael, but being able to put on those shoes and go to the playground as a kid, as a basketball player, and think that you could fly or try to fly through the air like Michael. And so to be sponsored by him, be it to the brand, to be sponsored, to be the first female athlete sponsored, was amazing to me. To just it meant the world to me, both personally and financially. So then I was able to say, okay, now I can actually walk away. Now I can walk away and concentrate full time on athletics, and be a professional athlete all over again. Because it's one thing to call yourself professional, but are you getting paid to be professional?
Hmm.
So I needed the paycheck to come along with the conversation. So I actually in 2005, once I signed with the Jordan brand, I was able to actually move out to the Olympic Training Center because in Chula Vista, California, because now I'm like, okay, now I can pay my bills and still be an athlete. So moving out to Chula Vista and being able to train with some of the other Olympic athletes out there, that meant a lot to my career because now I was no longer somewhat in an amateur space,
Hmm.
training and surroundings of an amateur. But now I was able to, do some things on a professional level and train with some other professional athletes and those kind of things. And so to be able to line up on the line with the Olympic athletes, I mean, you spoke about it. It's like, okay, sometimes people have I'll say the miseducation of,
Hmm.
people as in regards to Paralympics. But I was able to, every single last person I trained with, every single last person I ran with, every single day were Olympic athletes. Like I didn't even train with Paralympic athletes. I trained with Olympic athletes, and my coach was an Olympian. He's Al Joyner, and his wife was FloJo, and his sister Jackie Joyner Kersey. So I mean, they were a family of gold medalists and world record holders. So to get with him and for him to be able to train me, and in my brain, he was training me like I was FloJo, like I was second coming of FloJo. I was missing my leg and she was missing the pants leg on her tights or something or another. So nevertheless, that was my mentality every single day.
I
Uh,
love that.
so to be able to get out there and train every single day, and I didn't do any different exercises. I didn't do any different workouts. Like every single thing they did as track and field athletes, I did as a Paralympic track and field athlete. And so
And
that was no
and
different.
so I want to stay there for a second because I think one thing, as you said, the miseducation of people. So we were talking a little bit about before. One of the topics I want to touch on is I and again, I'm not going to blame it on anyone in particular. It's just kind of the way it is. More people associate the Paralympic Games being closer to the Special Olympics
Hmm.
than the Olympics themselves. And as you said, and you made very clear, you were training with Olympic athletes.
Hmm.
You were training with the best of the best, and it's not even a question. And so I just kind of want to get, before we hop into what you're doing now and some of the stuff, like you went to 3 Paralympic Games, won 2 bronze medal, 1 a gold medal. We already heard the story about the gold, which is fantastic. You have multiple world records. We're not messing around here. You hit all of the goals that you wanted. But I want to understand from your perspective, like what is that like? How cutthroat are the Paralympic Games? Give it to us so that we can understand, because I think, again, more people associate it as kind of like a feel good, like this is great, which it is, but it is also, no, like we're here to win medals. We're not here to mess around. Like this is a sport. What do you do in sports? You try and win.
Yeah, sure. So there's one of the things about the Paralympic Games, it's literally athletics for people with I'll say physical disabilities.
Hmm.
So there's amputees, there's visually impaired, there's people in wheelchairs. So those are the type of disabilities, I'll call it, the Paralympic athletes have. And so it's literally some of the fastest people in the world that are amputees. I mean, they are. They have prosthetic legs, and we have specially designed prosthetic legs for running and doing different sport, but getting out there. And I know a few years ago, there was a guy named Oscar, who participated in Olympics as a Paralympic athlete, he's, or as an amputee, I'll call it. And then there are a couple, athletes coming along now that are in the same boat. I mean, they are literally beating 99% of people with two legs. So it's very competitive. There's no feel good in it, other than when you stand on the medal stand and get your medal. There's no feel good in it. They don't give a medal to everyone that participates. Unfortunately, I'll say unfortunately or unfortunately. I mean, that works for the Special Olympics,
Of
but
course.
that's not the same thing as the Paralympics. So to be able to have, the greatest competitors and the greatest athletes in the world come together on a stage such as the Paralympics and represent your country, number one, but also represent people with disabilities and what's possible when you have a disability. Like I said, prior to losing my leg, I had no idea what the Paralympics were. I never heard of them. So kudos to all of the work that has been done behind the scenes and the paths that have been tread since the inception of Paralympics many years ago. To be able to put those athletes on a stage, but also to make them visible to people, thanks to NBC Sports and their commitment to the Olympics and the Paralympic movement, just to be able to showcase those amazing abilities and athletic abilities of people with disabilities, because it's possible. When if you ever think to yourself, okay, I can't do something, especially if it's physical, you say to yourself, I can't do something, and you just sit there for 2 seconds and go on YouTube or go on Google and type in Paralympic athletes and look at a couple videos, you're going to say, okay, what am I complaining about? Because I can actually do something.
I love it. I love it. Oh, that is fantastic. I hope people are listening to this on Monday. Get them excited for their week, right? But
Sure.
I love what you've been able to do and how you've been able to do it. And the last thing I want to touch on before we move on to what you're doing now, which is the co-founder of HeroHangout, what the end of your career, right? Like for most athletes, they are told it is the end of their career. As you said, in 2005, you were able to get that. You earned that incredible sponsorship deal from Jordan Brand. Shout out Michael Jordan and the team over there, what they're doing. And you then go to the 2008 games, win the gold medal. So very good investment on their part. You go to the 2012 games, win that bronze. At what point did you say, like, okay, I think I did it? Like you hit all 3 of your goals, right? You world record, represented the United States, and got that gold medal. So we're good. At what point were you comfortable with saying, like, you know what, I'm okay. Like we can go back to, a normal person, a regular person's life.
That was normal, interesting, but that was normal, regular to me.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's true.
all I've known all my life. So, I mean, that was when you love something, that, and you're doing what you love every single day, that's like normal and regular. And so in 2012, I thought for sure I was done. And I'm like, okay, I'm done doing this. I'm gonna just go off and begin doing motivational speaking all the time and those type of things that I was doing in the speaking industry. And then started having conversations with some of my sponsors, and I had some amazing sponsors at the time. With whether it was Jordan Brand, AT&T, Deloitte, 24 Hour Fitness, the Hartford. I mean, I had a very nice BMW. I mean, I had a very nice list of sponsors, and so they're like, you can't be finished. You still have to go another 4 years. And I'm like, no. I really don't. I really don't have to go another 4. And then I'm like, April, just go another 4. It's not that bad. You'll be okay. You still love doing what you do and like those kind of things. And so for those reasons, in conversations with some of my sponsors, is really why I really came back and was able to, continue on for what I knew for sure was going to be my last one, which was in Rio in 2016. And so when I stepped off that track in Rio, my body had taken obviously a lot of damage. I had taken on a lot of damage and things. I had some Achilles issues. I had some heel spur issues. I had plantar fascia. So everything with my foot. And so it's different if it's your knee. It's different if it's your elbow and you're running. But when it's your foot and you only have one, I'm like, April, listen, it's not that serious anymore. You have achieved everything and more than you've ever imagined. And so while you can still walk away, just walk away, like just bow out gracefully and go about your life. And so when I walked off the track in Rio in 2016, I was so blessed that a lot of my family members had also come. It's probably like about 30 or 40 of them that had made the trip to Rio. And I thought it was cool that a bunch of my girlfriends came to Rio also. And so I'm literally still in my uniform. I head off straight to the hotel where they are. we sit out on the sidewalk patio restaurant area, and we have food and laugh and joke, and we have drinks and laugh and joke. And we walked up all the way up and down the beach in Rio, just laughing, joking, having drinks. And that could not have been a greater send off for me from sport, and a bow out for me from sport. And like, that was like a jersey raising thing for me. Like,
Hmm.
put your jersey in the rafters thing when your friends are around and your family is around, and you're like having food and drinks, and just we had such an amazing time that night. Um, but that to me was like, okay, I wrote my own story. I was able to bow out on my own. I was able to say when I was done. And I can't lie, as even as the Tokyo Games have come around, what, last year, and I guess this year. I think about, like, all right, can you just do it again? I'm like, no, why? What craziness? What kind of craziness does that sound like? Like, you did not get your foot repaired, so it does not feel any better. All it is you're doing less pounding on it every single day. But no. There's other championships to win in life, and so that's kind of how I landed upon Hero Hangout, and I couldn't be more proud of what I'm building there.
Yes, and very excited to talk about that. So after you eventually do leave athletics, you spent a little bit of time at Ernst Young, if I'm not mistaken, right? And I'm sure you did some great stuff there, but what led you to the creation of Hero Hangout? What exactly is it, and how are you helping? Because you seem like that kind of person. You're just trying to help a bunch of other people. How are you helping, and what are you doing to do that?
So Hero Hangout literally came from how often I would go to speaking engagements. Like I said, I was doing a lot of motivational speaking around the world. And so I couldn't come off the stage fast enough, and doing autograph sessions and things, without like there being like tons of parents lined up and like, hey, can you sign this to my kid so and so, because they're doing this, they're not doing this, I need them to be doing this. And I really wish they were here. And can you talk to my kid? I mean, every parent, can you talk to my kid about this? Hey, can you talk to my kid about that? And I mean, we're talking everything from diet, exercise, friendship, school,
Hmm.
anything, any and everything that parents talk to their kids about all the time. It was like, I just kept remembering saying to myself, these people don't know me. They knew the 45 minutes I stood on the stage and kind of gave this motivational speech, but they don't really know me. So the fact that they're asking me to talk to their kid is actually pretty cool, and it's pretty special. Um, so I began like asking other athletes. I'm like, I can't be the only person that people ask to talk to their kid about something. I mean, I think I'm an awesome person, but I can't be the only person. And so I would literally like ask other athletes. I'm like, wait, do parents ask you to talk to their kid? And they're like, oh my goodness, April, you have no idea. Like, all the time are asking me to talk to their kid. And it's like, okay, all right. So asking all these athletes, I got to a point I just stopped asking athletes, because that's how often they would say yes. Like, there was no athlete, not one single athlete that I asked that they said, no, parents don't ask me to talk to their kid. Um, so then I started asking parents. I'm like, okay, parents, are you asking people to talk to your kid? They're like, yes, all the time, because they don't listen. I'm tired of banging my head against the wall. I'm tired of talking. They're not listening, like those kind of things. And so I'm like, okay, so what do you ask them to talk to your kid about? Oh, anything from, diet, nutrition, exercise, school, their friends, their choices, anything, like anything that I think they need to get, but they're not getting. And so I'm like, okay, I'm putting these things together, like all these conversations. And then it eventually became a thing of, April, you're onto something. You're really, really onto something. And so I began asking, I went back and asked a whole lot of other parents. I'm like, listen, would you pay for this app? If your kid could be mentored by like their favorite person in the world, like, or their favorite people in the world, or the most influential people in the world, like, would you pay for your kid to be on this app? And they're like, yes, when can I sign up? Can I download it like right now in the Apple store? I'm like, no, hold on. Give me a chance to build it first. Um, so being able to build it has been very, very rewarding, because it has enabled us to go back and have more conversations about whether it's with the teenagers, or anyone in that Gen Z demographic, or even with the parents. It's like, what type of things would you like to see on the platform? So having those conversations, building in the meantime, finding two co-founders who are absolutely amazing. Dr. Brett, who's like, during the day he's like Team USA chief medical officer, and in the evening he's like learning how to code and like doing all things educational and technical. So for us to be in an ed tech space, he was an amazing conversation to have, an amazing person to bring on board with Hero Hangout. And then fast forward to my rep at the Jordan brand, he ended up being let go by Nike and the Jordan brand. And so no sooner than I found out he was let go from there, they were doing a bunch of layoffs and stuff. And so he got let go. And I'm like, listen, you have to come over to Hero Hangout, because you've been working at Nike for 24 years, And you have to have these amazing connections with athletes, with managers, with owners. Like, you've been in every arena in the country, some even in the world. You have to come over. Like, you have an amazing Rolodex of connections that we need. And so Dale Allen was able to come over, and so the three of us together have been building Hero Hangout. Myself, I've been building it for about 4 years, 3-4 years or so. But those two came on board last year, and for us to build and be able to also to take some of the things that I learned at EY. When I was at EY, I was facilitating courses, I was doing executive coaching, but I was also developing learning content. And so to take some of the skills that I learned at EY and even be able to add them to the Hero Hangout platform was like, okay, all of these things in your life, you need to call upon all of these things. Again, we talk about athletics and some of the things it taught us, but it's like, what athletics didn't teach me, business did. And so I'm using all of those lessons and helping to build Hero Hangout.
I think it's such a cool concept too, right? Like, especially with the internet, pretty much anything is capable, anything's
Mhm.
possible now. So why not like have these incredible athletes from the Olympics, the Paralympics, from the NBA to the NFL, the men, women, everybody have the opportunity to let them teach your kids, right? Like, I think that's, and as you said, like, it's so easy for parents because like they don't listen to me. I could say the exact same thing you're saying, but they're not going to listen to me. So I'll just let you say it, right?
Yes,
Pay a
that's
nominal fee. They get to talk to their athlete for, someone that they look up to. And now they have this incredible opportunity. So I think it's when you told me about it, a couple weeks ago when we first had a conversation, it's one of those like, yeah, duh. Like, why has no one created that yet? And I think it's awesome that you're creating it. You have all these connections, the Rolodex, as you said, all the incredible people. Dr. Brett is amazing. He's the one who put us in contact. So thank you to Brett for that. But I guess really the question I then have is like, what, how you've been building it for 4 years, you now bring on two incredible people. What does this look like? Like, how do you build something like this? Where do you even start? And how far along are you to being able to, or if you have already had athletes on the platform talking to kids and creating and fulfilling the mission that you set out to do?
Sure. Well, currently we've only been in the private beta right now, in terms of finding some things that work and don't work, with whether it be athletes, whether it be some of the so it's not just athletes, by the way. We're onboarding musicians, entertainers, actors, actresses, like anyone of influence, really. So that kids are really really looking up to. So we call our influencers actually superheroes.
Nice.
And all of our Gen Z people on the platform, we're calling them heroes. So we have superheroes and we have heroes on our platform. So um, plenty of inspiration to go around. And so, this entrepreneurial and startup space is very, very new to all three of us. We all come from corporate backgrounds, and athletic backgrounds. So, this whole startup space and entrepreneur space is very, very new to us. So a lot of what we're doing and have been doing is learning along the way. Just continuing to learn as we build. Learn as we build, learn as we build, learn as we build. So there have been a few bumps along the road. Like, we're like, oh wait, we should have done that before we did this, or we should have tried to do this first before we did that. So just learning, like I said, is taking up a lot of our time and energy, which is okay to me. As long as we're learning every single day, but we're growing also every single day. And so to have these conversations happen on this platform, to have this app now developed, we recently submitted it to the Apple Store. So I don't know how long that process actually takes, but again, a learning process. But we're in a phase of really onboarding a bunch of our superheroes. And so we're having those kind of conversations, and we don't just want anyone that's a superhero to talk to our kids. Instead, we want to vet them through that process and make sure they're not out in the world doing crazy things. Instead, they're out in the world being great role models. And the unfortunate part is sometimes people of that get that platform of influence don't always do the right thing. So we're really vetting those people and really making sure they're good people and good people to put in front of our heroes. And then once we, get that together, it's like, how do we, how do we impact every day, like literally impact every single day, and not just today, but tomorrow, and impact forever, because that's what this is about. That's how you make the world a better place, by, having those positive influence in conversations and actions and behaviors, and then being able to retain those lessons. Because we're not out here to give advice. Instead, we're out here to share stories,
Hmm.
share our struggles, to share those experiences that we've had with the next generation. And so if we can share those type of things, then hopefully it will help their learning curve be a lot better, and hopefully it'll make the world a better place for all of us.
That is exactly what we're looking for. We need more positivity in the world. There's too much negative out there. I
Sure.
don't like that.
Sure.
Too much negativity. And I love all the positive energy that you have, April. I think it's fantastic. One
Yeah.
thing you said, and I'm curious, I brought it up earlier in the conversation, and now I think it's the perfect time to do it. As you said, this is new to you, Brett, and I apologize, you're the other co-founder
Dale.
of the company, Dale. What's up, Dale? It's new to all of you, but what were you able to draw upon with being an athlete at literally, one more time, the absolute highest possible level? What were the lessons that you learned, and the skill sets, and the discipline? What were you able to take from being one of the best athletes in the world to now something brand new that you've never done before? But again, you have that goal. We know you're going to hit it because obviously you told us that story already. What were you able to take? What were the attributes that you were able to take from being a world-class athlete to put into being an entrepreneur, building something that no one's ever heard of before, and expect that it will be extremely successful?
So I think about the some of the things you talked about, the resilience, the hard work, the dedication. But I think about the fact that when I started out being a Paralympic athlete, I had never even taken a step. I didn't even have a leg,
Mm-hmm.
but I still had a dream of being the greatest in the world. So I think about that, and I applied that to Hero Hangout every day. There are arenas that athletes walk into every single day, and they've never taken a step in that arena, but yet they expect to win, because they know that they've taken their body through the practice, through the discipline, through the everything that it takes, and they walk in with the mindset of, I'm prepared and I'm going to win. And so I can't say the preparation part as much as I have the mindset of, I'm going to win. And so when you surround yourself with great people, when you're learning every single day, when you can walk into an arena and say, you know what, I may not have ever taken a shot in this arena before, but I know how to shoot the ball. I may not have ever, run a race in this here arena before, but guess what? I know how to run. And so when the gun goes off, I'm going to take off running, and I'm not going to stop till I get to the finish line, and I'm not going to stop till I can get to the top of the podium. So that's kind of the mentality that we have. That's the culture we're building at Hero Hangout of, we've never done this before, but that doesn't mean we can't win. And we have so many people cheering for us, whether it's the parents, whether it's the superheroes, whether it's the heroes, whether it's just society, whether it's not just the future, cheering for us, and for us to keep that mentality. I think the sky's the limit for Hero Hangout, and right now we've done a great job of just focusing on the U.S. But I think about all the kids around the world that need that impact, that need that influence every single day, and so that's what we're building. We're excited about what we're building. There's great potential for what we're building. And again, even if we've never taken a shot in this arena, we have no doubt in our minds that we are in fact going to win.
I love that analogy. That is like the best way to think about it. You know how to run. It's like you've never ran on this track before.
All
Whatever,
right.
I'll figure it out. It's pretty easy. April, I think it's absolutely fantastic. This has been an incredible conversation, hearing about your life and your stories and everything you've been able to accomplish to this point, and everything you're going to be accomplishing with Hero Hangout. Where can we find more information about you, the company, everything? I give all the people all the information. I'll put everything in the show notes so everyone can click on it on their phone. But where can we find a little more information?
So the app itself has not been released yet, but of course we're on our social media channels, kind of talking about some things that we've been doing lately, and we're really starting to ramp up the media coverage of this, just because now that we submitted to the App Store, it's only a matter of time before we get approved, and now we're in the App Store. So that's coming, but you can check out HeroHangout.net, and it's kind of read a couple sentences or whatever about what we do and what we're doing. But be out on the lookout for us, especially if you have teens, especially if you're a parent and you have teens, or especially if you're a teen, Gen Z at all, kind of be out on the lookout for us, because we've been having some really, really exciting conversations with some cool people, like, some very cool household name athletes that we've been having conversations with and trying to get them on a platform. So it's only a matter of time before your favorite superhero is actually on our platform, and we invite you to come and learn from your favorite superhero.
I love it. April, this has been absolutely incredible. Where can we find you on the internet?
Let's see. You could go to aprilholmes.com. You can find me there, or you can really reach out to social media channels. All probably April Holmes. I think all of them are also April Holmes, so you can reach out to me on all social media channels. And I'm around. I love Clubhouse these days. I'm on Clubhouse, and popping in different rooms. We're talking about kind of creating some different rooms for around Hero Hangout and things like that. So also there. So look for me around, ping me, whatever. I'm interested in having conversations. And if you have any way that you can add to our network, our Hero Hangout, please feel free to definitely reach out.
I love it. Thank you so much for April Holmes one more time. Team USA athlete, three-time Paralympic medalist, gold medalist at the 2008 games, multiple world records, and an insane. I couldn't even count how many national champions you have. And as I said, co-founder of Hero Hangout. Thank you so much for your time today, April.
Thank you, Michael. Appreciate it.